All right, guys, back on Southeastern 16 with Max Barr. Our reaction to Auburn's late night victory over the Houston Cougars in Houston, and we'll get into everything that we saw from this game and learned with this one. Max, I'll tell you this: Auburn was not playing around. You knew. I mean,
I saw you.
I put out the tweet right before I went to bed. I'm like, I gotta put this on the video too. Don't worry, we got some other extras coming to the video too. That you guys, I think, are going to enjoy this one, especially Auburn fans. But, all right, before we get into that, before I forget, let's tell you about our friends at BetOnline. If you were someone out there after the plain rumors that came out on Friday, and you were someone that was like, you know what, I'm going to go bet on this game, and you decided that, you know what, hey, this is not looking good for Auburn, let me go put a bet in on the Houston Cougars. Well, you lost some money because that didn't work out too well. And if you want to bet, you can go to our friends at BetOnline. World's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for online betting. The earliest odds to in-game live betting. BetOnline, all the action you need, and the ability to watch games as they happen. Largest selection of odds from everything from football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, MMA, and everything else out there. Head to BetOnline today. Get on the action, America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right, Max. So, no one would ever overreact, right? When, of course, we had everything that came out on Friday, and in the text thread, the legendary text thread we always talk about here on these videos, we were having a discussion about this Auburn-Houston game heading into the game. And you, myself, Chris Lee, and, we're all just kind of going back and forth, discussing what we think is going to happen. We're talking about the other games from the day and everything like that. Max, you and I, we saw something in this game.
Yes.
We were very prophetic in terms of seeing how this game was going to play out. So I will allow you to pull up the text thread here. We're going to give you inside access to our text thread here. And you can see that it goes from Chris giving us the John Rothstein tweet that Darlingstone DeBar was not going to play for Tennessee. That was kind of where we did there. But then we started getting to Auburn, right? And you can see here, if you're listening to this on the audio, you're not getting the full effect. But Max Barr saying, I have a gut feeling Auburn wins. He said that the CBB gods had spoken to him, to Max Barr. And then Chris, of course, makes a joke about Max shaving his mustache. But if we get beyond that, my response was, always bet bad news. And then, Max, I called it. Auburn by 5. Give it to me. The Tigers by 5. Max responds, exactly, based on the talk around the game. It's already over. Houston's already run by 20, and you know what that means. So, there you go. We knew, Max. We knew this was going to happen. The Auburn Tigers win by 5 against Houston. What a win for Auburn. We have fun with this stuff here, but what a win for the Auburn Tigers. Best win of anyone so far this season. If you keep up with Ken Palm, you love your Ken Palm in November. Auburn's the number one team in the country right now. And, that was impressive. Down 9. If you stayed up to watch the game, it was worth every minute of it. Well, if you're an Auburn fan. I suppose if you're an Alabama fan, maybe not. Other fan bases too, Houston specifically. But, Auburn's down 9 with 14:40 to go, Max. And from there, they just found a way to make plays. And, boy, 2 guys in particular, people are going to be talking a lot about coming out of this one.
Yep. Yeah, but you said Auburn ain't playing around. I said that this was an absolute dogfight of a game.
Yeah.
Little did I know that the term dogfight means an aerial battle between fighter planes. Would you look at that? Yes.
Which dictionary, which thesaurus did you find that from?
It was a screenshot from Tahaad Pettiford Burner on Twitter. So very credible source.
Got to be legit. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Anyways, speaking of the man, he's here. He is here in a huge way. I think he took the reins of the offense, took control of the point guard spot right around 15 minutes left in the second half, right when they were down by 9. That was right when he took over. And you see the result right there. I know we're going to talk about Tahaad a bunch in this. Before we get there, Chaney Johnson needs his flowers. I'm always the guy that gives the dirty work guy his flowers. Chaney Johnson's the leading rebounder on this team, Blake. He out-rebounded Broom in game 1 and game 2. That is so important. I love you, Dylan Cardwell. I absolutely love you. but stick in that role. Give Chaney that starting spot at the 4. Get rid of that too big lineup. But yeah, speaking of Dylan Cardwell, we had a little something, didn't we, play?
Yeah, let's give our guy Gene some credit here. Gene was on us all offseason. Yeah. We weren't giving Chaney Johnson enough credit. We're all in on the Chaney Johnson, whatever you want to call it, like breakout tour. It's officially on. So, yeah, he's been huge for them. But let's go ahead and let's see what Dylan Cardwell had to say, too. If you thought we expected this to happen for Auburn in terms of, us saying, hey, we think Auburn's going to win this game, let's see what Dylan Cardwell had to say, Max. Yeah. I think he had a very important thing to say here about this game.
Let's see here.
When you lock a bunch of dogs up on a plane, what did you expect to happen? What did you expect to happen?
There you go. So Dylan Cardwell,
a bunch of dogs.
There you go. Courtesy of Dylan Cardwell himself. But yeah, I mean this game, it kind of, again, early on, it was exactly what you expected to be. Like, it was a grind early, and it was a grind throughout, right? All the way to the end, it was a grind. But I think you just look at the way that Auburn was able to, because you think about the scenario. You're down 9, like I said, with a little bit into the second half. It's not like you're down 9 with 5 to go or anything, but still, like, that could have been that point. Knowing the way Kelvin Sampson's teams play, they'll just put the clamps down on you. They don't give you anything easy, and if you want, like, yes, you can call a little adversity that Auburn had faced the day before, and you're thinking, okay, that could have been that point where do we go from here, right? We're down 9, the wheels seemingly kind of falling off a bit, but that didn't happen. Like, this Auburn team, who one of the reasons why we were so high on them coming into the season was the experience, and so the older guys here step up. Obviously, you have a freshman that steps up too, but being able to see what these older guys could sort of rally around each other, the chemistry there, and this team just would not quit. Like, they were not going to – we knew that. We were, even if they found themselves in a double-digit hole, they never did in this game, but you knew this Auburn team was still going to fight, and I think their ability just to keep kind of matching Houston once it got to that point, and then, to kind of really just – find ways to make more plays. That's really what it came down to, and find a way to, like we said, get just a monster non-conference win here.
Yeah, and they had to overcome a lot in the game itself. I think you had Baker Mazara picking up his 3rd foul with 16 minutes left in the game, and when that happened, I'm like, oh no, we need that wing play. But they overcame it. I don't know how much, because do I want to be like, okay, they've got their point guard. They got PG1. Tahaad Pettiford's a guy. He is the guy. Or do I want to say, okay, he had 19 minutes and 0 points against Vermont, and then he just had 21 points in 24 minutes against Houston. I don't really know exactly how much to buy into this. But from last night, I mean, you always like to say, and I like to say it too, but with these early season stuff, hard to take away from the team, but you can find that individual skill, and it's hard to deny. What I watched last night was much more of, I think the first game was the fluke rather than last night. It's just how I'm kind of looking at it right now. Miles Kelly, we said you're probably not going to get those looks against this Houston defense. He goes 1 of 5. He goes 1 of 5 from 3. Broom goes 0 of 4 from 3. 0 of 4 from the free throw line.
Yeah. And
so you just have all these different things. Baker Mazar being in foul trouble, all this stuff. You're like, and they still overcame all this and won this game. Incredible.
Let me tell you what I think is the most impressive stat from this game. If you go back to 2018, Houston, defensively, 2018, we're going to go year by year all the way up to now. Trust me, we'll get there. Since 2018, all right, we're going to start at that season. Houston finished 7th in 2-point field goal percentage defense. 2019, Houston finished 5th in 2-point field goal percentage defense. 2020, which I kind of write off, that was a weird, well, I mean, I guess they played the full season when you get the tournament and such, but they finished 24th, okay? That's the outlier, as you're going to notice.
Bad.
Here. 24th in 2-point field goal percentage defense. 2021, Houston finishes 7th in 2-point field goal percentage defense. 2022, Houston finishes 6th. And remember, these are all nationally in 2-point field goal percentage defense. 2023, Houston finishes 5th in 2-point field goal percentage defense. 2024, Houston finishes third in 2-point field goal percentage defense. All that to tell you that Auburn just shot 20 of 28 from 2 for 71% against this Houston team. Now, every season's different team, but the trend tells you that these kind of games are the outlier against Houston. And we were like, hey, the threes may not fall. You kind of know, like you just mentioned with Miles Kelly, you're not going to get the same looks probably, but yet Auburn still found a way to get the shots they needed to get and to do it as effectively as they did. Of course, Broome going 10 of 11 was the big part of that. But you just don't see those kind of numbers often against this Houston team. So,
yeah, well, if we have any Houston fans, checking in, they're going to say, well, we didn't really have a healthy Javier Francis, and Francis was, I believe, like top 10, top 15 in the country in blocks last year. He was their main rim
played
protector.
9 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. So if there's some Houston fans in here, I'll give you that. If you get a healthy, 30-minute, 25-minute game out of Francis, he probably deters a few more shots. But nonetheless, you got JoJo Tugler in foul trouble. Chaney Johnson kept attacking him. What do you say, Blake? They fouled up the huge win with an even bigger one. I didn't even think that was possible, but it happened, and now we've got the Ken Pom National Champions in November.
Well, and yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Houston side of this, because the fact is, like, I think if you're a Houston fan, you're still feeling pretty good coming out of this, as you should. I think Houston's still going to be they're going to be one of the favorites to make the Final Four, in my opinion. And I said, I still, personal opinion, I think Kelvin Sampson's the best there is in terms of just pure basketball coach out there. Like, I think he's fantastic. And so this was a great game between two great teams. And yeah, now as we look forward, we were talking about Auburn's schedule before we started recording. They're going to play Kent State next Wednesday. They get North Alabama after that. Then they got the Maui Invitational, where they're going to get Iowa State, and the way the bracket falls, you could get Iowa State, and then you get a game against North Carolina. The winner of Dayton, North Carolina is their next opponent. On the other side of the bracket, you've got Memphis, UConn, Colorado, and Michigan State. So, if Auburn goes out and, let's say, wins the Maui Invitational, you're talking about several big-time games, starting with Game 1 against Iowa State. And then they still have that road matchup against Duke once they come back from Maui, and still have Ohio State, still have Purdue. And remember, we talked about that non-conference schedule for Auburn with John Rothstein this offseason. He said one of the best he's ever seen. And, really, when you look at the way it shakes out, if they get those matchups in Maui and still have the games that are already on the schedule, again, at Duke, Ohio State, Purdue, it could wind up looking that way. We mentioned Alabama and Auburn's non-conference schedules are just brutal. And so this is a big win. And I'll say this too, Max, to add on. If you think back to last year, one of the things, and we mentioned this on opening night, the SEC has left some missed opportunities out there in non-conference play the past several years. These were the kind of wins that, I think if you're an SEC team, you were seeking, because you just haven't had a lot of these over the past several years. Had good wins, but like these kind of marquee, top-tier, type victories that are just going to fuel your non-conference resume. This was just so big for Auburn. And also, like we said, knowing within the context of what's to come with the rest of their schedule, just an enormous win here.
Yeah, and just like numbers-wise, like Ken Pom, the net and all that, this win over Houston is just going to lock them up there at the top, because Houston's not dropping at all.
Yeah.
And so this high quality of a win, they're just going to keep Auburn locked in at the top. No matter if they drop a game here or there, this win has so much weight on it. So it's another big thing.
Yep. So there you go. Auburn, a significant victory in Houston. And yeah, just like you said, total team victory here. The standouts will get, the headlines and such, but this was a big team win. It had a lot of guys contributing this game in various areas. And yeah, this was exactly what you wanted to see if you were Bruce Pearl and this team early. I said, I just think this team feels a little bit different. And yeah, this shows you something with a win like this, coming off that big victory against Vermont. And now we see how they navigate the rest of the schedule moving forward here, Max. So,
yep, like you said, got a little bit of a Well, not easy game against North Alabama or Kent State. Those are two, like, they're not just pushovers at all, but then we get into that big tournament. So I'm excited.
There we go. We'll have it covered here at Southeastern 16. If you are looking for our thoughts on the other games from Saturday, well, we're madmen, and of course we went live on Saturday night. We already talked about Tennessee, Kentucky, and Arkansas, so you can find that here on the channel. Check it out, live stream. We did there, and of course check out the football live stream from Saturday night as well. We will be, basketball-wise, previewing the big games of the upcoming week, including Kentucky and Duke, some other games as well, and we'll have our Monday power rankings. They're back for the season. Basketball power rankings coming on Monday too. So be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well. We appreciate you guys watching as always, and we'll talk to you again here soon at Southeastern 16.